After my dad died 6 years ago, I never expected to hear his voice again, and I wish I hadn't. It was an old voicemail, one I didn't even know existed until yesterday, just 10 seconds long. But in those 10 seconds, he said something that turned my entire life upside down. I wasn't searching for it, I wasn't reminiscing, I was cleaning, making space on an ancient hard drive from college, something I hadn't touched in years. Most of it was junk, essays, photos, random downloads. But tucked in a folder named Pixel Backup Deck 2017 was a single file called voicemail.m4a. I almost deleted it without opening it. God, I wish I had. When I pressed play, I heard static at first, then a familiar breath, and then his voice, my dad's. Calm, warm, exactly how I remembered it. "Hey, kiddo," he said, like it was yesterday. "Just checking in. Call me when you get a sec." And there was a pause, a shift, like he wasn't sure he should keep talking. "I'm sorry for everything. I never told you the truth." And then the line went dead. I froze. That wasn't any voicemail I'd ever heard. My dad never said that. I replayed it over and over until my hands were shaking. 10 seconds, always cutting off at the same place, right after those words. "I never told you the truth." What truth? I sat there, headphones in, staring at my computer like it might answer me. My heart was racing so fast, it felt like it might climb out of my throat. I'd gone through every voicemail, every recording, every file after he died. Nothing like this ever existed. I even checked my backups years ago. There was no voicemail.m4a, so where the hell did it come from? I thought maybe the timestamp would tell me, but the details made no sense. The file said created August 4th, 2020. He'd already been dead for over a year. For a long time, I just sat there, replaying the file, trying to rationalize it. A corrupted date? A glitch? Maybe I'd misheard him. Maybe it wasn't even an apology. But the words were clear, too clear. "I never told you the truth." And suddenly, everything I thought I knew about his death, about him, started to feel unstable. That's when I made the first mistake. I saved the file. I backed it up, labeled it, protected it like something sacred. Because some part of me thought it was a sign. Another part of me, the rational part, whispered that some things are better left erased. But I couldn't stop listening. And somewhere between replay number 15 and 20, I started to hear something I hadn't noticed before. Faint, just beneath his voice. A whisper. A woman's. At first, I thought it was static, just the usual background noise you get with old recordings. But when you've played the same 10 seconds of your dead father's voice 20, 30 times in a row, you start hearing things. I turned up the volume. The whisper was faint, almost like a breath caught between syllables. I thought maybe it was interference, the microphone picking up a background hum or his TV running somewhere in the house. But then I isolated the sound, and it wasn't random. It was words. A woman's voice, buried deep under his. Soft, strained, like she was speaking from another room or another world. "I didn't mean to hurt her." That's what it said, clear as day once I heard it. My whole body went cold. I played the voicemail again, focusing on the background. It was subtle, but it was there. The same breathy tone, the same broken rhythm. Every time my dad said, "I never told you the truth," that whisper followed, overlapping slightly, like it was responding. I yanked out my earbuds and just stared at the screen. There was no logical explanation. My dad lived alone. He wasn't seeing anyone after Mom died. He barely spoke to anyone those last months. Who the hell was she? I wanted to believe I was imagining it. So I did what any idiot with too much curiosity and too much brief would do. I loaded the file into an audio editor. I'd used the program for work before. Nothing fancy, just simple noise reduction, frequency isolation. When I filtered out the background, the whisper came through sharper. No mistake. Female voice. The same line looping faintly at the end. I didn't mean to hurt her. Then, under it, something else. Just one word. Help. It was almost imperceptible, but once I heard it, I couldn't unhear it. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my palms. I muted the file and just sat there in the glow of my monitor, wondering what I'd just uncovered. The date, the apology, the woman's voice, none of it made sense. And yet, the longer I stared at the waveform on my screen, the more I felt like it was staring back, like that short clip wasn't done saying what it needed to say. I should have stopped right there, deleted it, closed the laptop, and walked away. But instead, I hit Enhance, and that's when the files started to change. When I hit Enhance, the program froze. The cursor stopped mid-waveform, the audio display flickered, and for a split second, the entire screen went black. Then it came back, but the file wasn't the same. The name at the top no longer said voicemail.m4a. It said voicemail_2.m4a. I didn't create that. I never duplicated anything. My chest tightened. I checked the folder. Sure enough, there were now 2 identical files, both with different timestamps. The second one had been created at 2:47 a.m. while I was sitting right there, staring at the screen. And worse, the size was different, a few kilobytes larger. I hadn't even played it yet, but I could feel it. That electric kind of dread that crawls just beneath your skin, like your body knows before your mind does. I double-clicked the new file. Same static, same breath, same greeting. Hey kiddo, just checking in. Call me when you get a sec. Then the pause. Only this time, he didn't say he was sorry. He said something else. I didn't tell you everything. And then, another voice, closer now, overlapping with his. Please stop listening. I ripped my earbuds out so fast I dropped them on the desk. My heart was pounding so loud it drowned out the silence in the room. I replayed the file on my speakers to be sure I wasn't hallucinating, but it was all there. 2 voices, one pleading, one hiding something. I opened the Properties tab again. Created August 4th, 2020, 02:47 a.m. Modified October 8th, 2025, 02:47 a.m. It was editing itself. I know how insane that sounds. Files don't change on their own. But the date stamp matched the exact moment I hit Enhance. I thought maybe my software had auto-saved a version, so I checked the local folder, the backup drive, the cloud. None of them had a trace of that second file before tonight. I even disconnected the hard drive and replugged it, thinking maybe I was catching a glitch, but when it remounted, there were 3 copies now. The newest one didn't even have a name, just a blank space where the title should be. I stared at it, cursor hovering over the play icon, my reflection faint in the laptop screen. I felt like I was being watched back. The lights flickered, a small pop from the socket. Static burst through my speakers, loud, sharp, almost angry. I slammed the volume down, but it was too late. The file had already started playing. This time, there was no greeting, no warmth, just breathing. Slow, uneven, wet, like someone standing right next to the microphone. Then his voice again. You shouldn't have found this. I froze. Every instinct in me screamed to shut it down, but I couldn't move. His tone wasn't the same man I remembered. It was hollow, like it was coming through him, not from him. There's more you don't know, he said. And behind him, faint but unmistakable, that woman again. Don't make me do this again. The file ended abruptly. I didn't realize I'd been crying until I saw the keyboard wet under my hands. For a long minute, I just sat there, trembling, listening to the buzz of the computer fan and the ringing in my ears. I tried to breathe, but it came out shallow and sharp, that kind of breath you take when panic is already winning. I kept telling myself there had to be a rational reason. Maybe the old Pixel backed up an unfinished voicemail. Maybe corrupted data was mixing audio fragments. I clung to every explanation I could, but none of them could answer one simple thing: the new files. They weren't duplicates, they were additions, new content, new voices. Something, or someone, was still recording. And I don't know what made me do it, but I opened the first file again, the original voicemail.m4a. I needed to hear how it started, needed to prove to myself that it was still the same. But it wasn't. The timestamp had changed again. Now it read, modified October 8th, 2025, 03:12 a.m. And at the very end of the waveform, a tiny flicker, like an added second of sound. I hit play. "Hey, kiddo, just checking in. Call me when you get a sec." Then the pause, then the static, and then, right before it cut off, a faint click. She knows now. I pushed my chair back so hard it hit the wall. My pulse was a drumbeat in my ears. I stared at the screen, wide-eyed, every rational part of my brain trying to patch itself together. He was dead. He had been dead for 6 years. So who the hell was still talking to me? I thought about calling someone, my brother maybe. He'd think I'd finally cracked under stress. Or worse, he'd listen to it himself and hear nothing. That idea terrified me even more, because if no one else could hear it, that meant it wasn't on the file. It was in me. I shut the laptop, sat there in the dark. But even through the silence, I could still hear it, the faint rhythm of his breathing, buried somewhere in my head. And then, from the closed laptop speaker, muffled but distinct, "Don't walk away from me." The screen stayed black. The sound kept going. I've listened to the voicemail so many times now that I can hear it even when it isn't playing. Every breath, every pause, every click of his tongue before he spoke, it's all burned into me. I don't even need the file anymore. I could recite it word for word. And yet, every time I press play, it sounds slightly different. Sometimes the silence before he talks feels longer. Sometimes his tone is softer, almost hesitant. Last night, I could have sworn I heard him whisper something at the very end, something I'd never noticed before. But when I played it again, it wasn't there. I don't know if my mind is adding things or if the recording itself is changing, but the uncertainty is worse than either explanation. For days, I've been carrying that file like a secret. On my phone, on a USB, hidden on my desktop under another name. I tell myself it's just a memory, just a soundbite, but it feels like an open wound I can't stop touching. I've stopped telling people about it. My brother laughed it off when I mentioned it, said it's probably compression distortion, background bleed. Maybe he's right, but he didn't hear it. He didn't hear the way Dad said it. "I never told you the truth." Those words don't sound like a glitch. They sound like guilt. And once you hear guilt in someone's voice, it's impossible to unhear it. I took a day off work today, couldn't focus anyway. I kept opening the file and closing it again, like some obsessive reflex. At one point, I sat there, staring at the progress bar, trying to count how many times he took a breath during those 10 seconds. 3. Always 3. Except on one replay, I counted 4. It's such a small thing, right? But it got inside my head. I thought maybe the software was looping, so I moved the file to another device, different app, different player. Same result. 3 breaths the first time, 4 the next. And I swear to God that 4th one didn't sound like him. It was higher, softer, like a woman's breath, trying to stay quiet. I know how that sounds. I know how I sound. I haven't slept more than 4 hours since I found it. Coffee and denial have been keeping me upright, but this isn't just exhaustion. It feels deliberate, like the recording is trying to make me notice something it hid the first 100 times. I went digging through his old things again. Letters, bank statements, call logs. I found nothing unusual, except one note tucked inside a book, his handwriting barely legible. Some things don't stay buried. I don't know if he meant it literally or if I'm just forcing meaning onto everything now. Tonight, I tried to delete the file. I hovered over it for a long time. My finger was trembling and my throat felt tight, like deleting it would be the same as killing him again. I hit delete. The file disappeared. And for a second, I felt lighter. I even laughed, an ugly, broken laugh that came out more like a cough. Then I noticed the reflection in the dark screen of my monitor, the small light on my phone flashing, a new voicemail notification. It was from a private number, timestamped for the exact minute I deleted the file. I didn't open it. I couldn't. I just sat there staring at it, that tiny red dot pulsing like a heartbeat. Maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe the network recycled the timestamp from the old file. Maybe I'm cracking under the weight of my own grief. But the worst part is, I want it to be him. I want there to be some reason I still hear him. Because the alternative, that I'm losing my mind, feels so much heavier. It's been 6 years. You'd think I'd have healed by now. But healing isn't a straight line. It's a loop. You think you're fine, then one random sound drags you right back. People keep telling me to let him go, but they don't understand. I already did. I buried him, I said goodbye. He's the one who won't leave. Or maybe I'm the one who keeps calling him back. I keep thinking about that last message, the apology, the truth he never told me. What if he was never talking to me at all? What if the message wasn't meant to be heard? Not by me, not by anyone. Maybe that's why I found it when I did. Maybe some part of him wanted to confess, and some part of me needed to listen. Or maybe it's all just a coincidence that my grief is too tired to accept. The phone's on my nightstand now. The screen keeps lighting up on its own, showing that same notification, new voicemail. I've powered it off 3 times and it still does it. It's probably nothing, a software loop, some leftover cache data. That's what I'll tell myself tonight, because I can't face another explanation. But if you've ever lost someone and one day their voice finds its way back to you, you'll understand. It's not comfort. It's not closure. It's a mirror you can't stop looking into, hoping you'll see them, but finding only yourself staring back. And somewhere behind that reflection, a voice you can't quite trust anymore.